Hello all and welcome back. This is episode number 7 of the Amber Army YouTube channel's Football Manager 2018 experience. Together stronger, revamped, boosted Welsh League. So Cardiff City have run away with it basically so far, and they need to be knocked down a peg or two. So the other teams need to start buying big. Cardiff have started buying big, you'd have seen last season. We need the others to start buying big as well. So the other bigger teams are in and around them. So 2nd of July, the transfer window is open. Who's made the big signings so far? Right, here we go. So Newport County have sold 2 players, but they brought in a couple of smaller kind of players. So Colwyn Bay had a good season last year. They spent 29 million on David Lloyd. So that's someone who was picked up by Bournemouth and have been re-signed into the Welsh League by Colwyn Bay. So Colwyn Bay had a good season last year, so I think they're going to look to push on. Llanelli are spending some money. Connors Quay, one of the newer teams back into the division, are spending a bit of money. Cardiff have not spent a penny yet. Newport County have made a couple of signings. Who else are the good teams? Swansea have barely done anything, so it's early doors just yet, but we'll have a look and see how this one progresses. So this is the lineup of teams ready for the JD Welsh Premier League. There's a Llandudno derby in on this one. Cardiff lost their derby with Met Uni, and Met Uni have fallen, haven't they? 2 relegations in 3 seasons. It's been a bit of a shit time for them. But Cardiff obviously in the Champions League now. These big signings will bode well for them. Will we finally get a Welsh Champions League team into a group stage? Brendan Rodgers is the manager, and this is the team that's going to stand between. So it's a Bosnian team that's going to stand between Cardiff and the Champions League. And their opening game is against Newport County at home. So they've got some rivals in this division. So there's not really a lot to talk about at the moment. There's not been much activity in the transfer market. Let's have a look at the manager movements though. So Llandudno, the Llandudno Junction manager, Chris Morrell, has become the Merthyr manager, and Wayne Allison is now the Llandudno Junction manager. So ex-Chester. Well, no, that's players. Let's have a look on the overview. How do we look at this name? Milestones. Right, so there we go. He was the Rill manager. So Rill, I believe, went up. Yeah, they got promoted into the Cymru Alliance last year. So a little bit of manager movement. All good, all good. So, no point hanging around. How about we get this season kicked off now? We will see you guys at the end of the transfer window. I'll see you there. But before that, the preview. Why could I forget the preview? The preview. So Cardiff are the favourites. Merthyr and Barry are close in for 2nd and 3rd. But then right 8 then is Swansea, then Newport. I think Newport let themselves down last year. Not enough signings. Wrexham are turning things around a bit. Colwyn Bay with their signings. They're looking to push on. These are the 3 teams representing Wales in the what's it called? The Europa League. Barry, Colwyn Bay and Pennybont. We'll have a look at them when it all begins to see if they qualify. So Aberystwyth, Gresford, Connors Quay, Denbigh, Llandudno Junction are all the favourites for the relegation scrap. Llanelli aren't going to get around there. Llandudno TNS aren't going to get around there. Pennybont, an 8-sider. Guilsfield making some signings maybe, and they'll be up and around that lot. There's a lot to contemplate on this one, guys. So, the transfers, the main transfer activity. So, who went for free transfers? Were any big players? So, Ryan Fredericks have gone to Colwyn Bay for free. Decent looking wing back. So, a lot of players from England. You're going to get that. Players from England moving over for free. So, players from Chelsea and Everton. Borthwick Jackson to Wrexham. So yeah, there's a couple of decent Bosman ruling signings made there. Key players this year. So Vargas of Wrexham, Aguilar, Cardiff. We're not going to go through all of these, but just to give you an idea of the sort of players that we're going to be looking at this season. Obviously, we will recognise a few of them. A lot of them will be regens or new gens. Ollie McBurney's in on it, look. So, yeah, there's some good players kicking about. Yeah, okay, I suppose it's about waiting to see what happens in the transfer window, so I'll see you there. Okay, then, here we are. It's the 5th of September. It is the day after the transfer deadline. And the top three are quite an unexpected top three to start things off with, although Cardiff is still to play, and so are Newport County. I think, no, they won't be against each other, will it? Because that was opening game of the season, unless that's been rearranged, and that's why. Let's have a quick gander at that then. So, no. Although that game did get rearranged. Must be something to do with Cardiff and their fight to be in the Champions League. Now, how has that started? Let's just have a quick look at that first. So Cardiff are in the Champions League. They've made it to Group I, where they're going to be with Sporting Lisbon, Anderlecht, and Ludogorets. Wow, they got to really fancy their chances of getting into the knockout stages there. That is a hell of a draw for them. Anderlecht, Ludogorets, and Sporting Lisbon. Sporting ain't exactly a pushover, but they're going to fancy their chances big time in that. Wow. Right then, so that's how the league's looking, although it doesn't tell a big story after just 3 games, although the transfers will tell a story of who's going to do what. Now, there's been no massive transfers. Now, Cardiff have brought in a couple of big money transfers. Newport haven't, which is a little bit concerning on their part because they need to keep up with everybody. So Swansea picked up Connors Key, have spent a lot of money, and it doesn't surprise me where they are in the table considering how much money they've spent. Llandudno Junction haven't spent much though, and neither have Penny Bomb by the looks of it. Obviously Colwyn Bay spent the most money on the single biggest transfer of an incoming JD Welsh Premier League transfer. Merthyr have spent a little bit, but they spent a fair bit by the looks of it, yeah. So let's do it like this then. Aberystwyth brought in a few, no big money signings though, so they may struggle. So the next is Barry. They've barely brought anybody in. I can't see them doing as well this year. Cardiff, of course, a few players on a free. One from Ryan Gold. Now that's that up and coming, really good looking Scottish guy, Ryan Gold. That's actually could be potentially a really good signing. Ben Amos, I think he's is he a goalkeeper? Yes, decent signing. So Cardiff have spent a little bit of money, well, a fair bit of money really. So yeah, they're doing okay with their transfers. Kevin Druids have brought in loads of players and a couple of bigger money transfers as well. So they're looking to stay in the division, obviously. Colwyn Bay have brought in loads. They've spent a lot of money. They brought in a fair few players and some players from England as well on a free. So I can see them doing quite well. Connors Key are the early front runners, the extremely early front runners, and they brought in a load of players. And they've spent a lot of money on them. Denby have spent a fair bit, possibly not enough though, in my opinion. Next are, I believe, at Gresford, yes, and they've spent a bit of money, looking to stay in the division. Guilsfield are an outside fancied party, and they spent a bit of money. They haven't brought in a load of players, but they brought in enough to add to their team for this season, and they've spent potentially money on a fair bit of quality there. So Llandudno haven't spent a thing really. I mean, the first month, they're spending 105k a month on a player from Newport County. I got a feeling Llandudno may go down. So Llandudno Junction They haven't spent loads of money, but they brought in a whole host of players. Llanelli Town needed to bring some players in to stay in the division. They have done. They've spent a bit of money. Merthyr pushing for the title this year potentially. They brought in 3 decent money signings. A couple of players on a free. We'll see how they turn out. Kyasus have fallen, and a lot of their players are gone now. It's a shame to see because they were a real rising up and comer. In Newport County, you've spent a little bit of money, but in my opinion, not enough. They needed to bring in some bigger players. But I don't know. I mean, who's this guy? It always intrigues me whenever a team brings in an African player, because it's usually because they're good. He's good. Bargain. So maybe that's what Newport have done this year. Bargains. Maybe a couple of them have done that. So Penabont are a fancied team this year because they've obviously made it into Europe, but they haven't spent anything close to what they should spend to look for some success this year. Swansea, not really done an awful lot, have they really? They've brought in a couple of players from the Premier League on a free, spent a bit on them too. No, I don't know if that's going to be enough for Swansea to do well this year. So TNS have barely spent anything. They're not going to do well this year. Wrexham are the other one then, preparing themselves for Europe. They brought in some decent players on a free, but I don't think they've brought in enough. Who's this guy from Dusseldorf? Not bad. He's not going to do him any good though, is he really? But yeah, there we go. That's the signings this year. Obviously, you can see how they've started. Let's have a quick look at the national team to see what they got coming up and what they've been doing, and then we'll push on for the rest of the first half of the season. So here's our national team schedule. Is okay. So this is a really bad start to the European Championship qualifying campaign. Losing 2, drawing 1, and winning 1. They've really got to pull their fingers out and win these next few games. But they did well there. Let's have a quick look on what that group looks like. Why can't I look at the group? European Championship Quals Group F. Oh, right. So that Group F has been concluded. Did Wales qualify for that? I don't know. I don't really know where it looks. So, European League, Division B, Group 2. So, they I think they stayed where they were. But then looking at this, they got Lithuania and Greece. And they've already beaten Greece. I'd imagine Wales are going to win this with ease. Complete ease. So, that's where they want to be, up the top in Group 1. Imagine that there is a promotion and relegation thing with this. So, yeah, there we go. That's the national team. A quick overview of the kind of players that they got in there. So it's quite unrecognisable now because of the quality of players coming through the system in Wales now. I think Cardiff would have a few Welsh people in there, but I'd say the regulars like Bale, and obviously we knew Woodburn would be, Ramsey and Joe Allen. Obviously still starters, Ben Davis of course, but other than that, there's a lot of regens. Carl Darlow, obviously a Wales player on this. Shame he can't be in real life, but there we go. That's the national team. Let's conclude the first half of this season and see. We'll get a better picture of where we are. Obviously on the 30th of November, guys. I'll see you there. So here we are, we're on the 30th of November now, the very last leg of this episode, and Merthyr are the team leading the way at the moment. Cardiff very close, just a point behind. In second place, Swansea hot on their tails, and Llanelli Town having a particularly good season. Llandudno was surprising me. I'd have thought they'd be where Gresford are. Aberystwyth, on the other hand, kind of expected to be down that way. Connors Quay started off so well, but they've fallen from there. They've done particularly badly. And Dudno Junction are doing well, considering they're a pretty new team in this division. Barry, Wrexham, and Colwyn Bay are all underperforming right now. TNS well, seems to get grimmer for them every season. The first two, winning the Nathaniel MG Cup, was obviously a good thing, but then just falling. I mean, it happened to Prestatyn. Why not TNS? But Prestatyn have actually done better in the league previously than what TNS have done. So it just goes to show how this thing can twist and turn as well. Merthyr are the ones leading the way. Cardiff, how are they looking in the Champions League? So, Champions League group, so they beat Ludogorets. Then they lost away to Sporting, kind of understood, but lost away to Anderlecht. That'd have been disappointing, that. But they've won at home to Anderlecht. They've won at home to away to Ludogorets, and now it's the Euro Cup. Euro Cup. What the? No wonder the group. Oh my God, Champions Cup. They lost to Salzburg on penalties. Now that green made me think they went through on penalties. Well, so it's the Euro Cup. Well, you all probably noticed it before me, but that is disappointing. They're not in the group like I thought. I thought they had a shit group. Well, there we go. Everyone's in the Euro Cup again. Still no Champions League group stage for any Welsh team, unfortunately. So I'm bringing us to the season preview part. We're just going to have a look at the other Euro Cup teams just to see how they're getting on in the Euro Cup themselves. So, unfortunately, Barry went 8 to Benfica. Colwyn Bay got knocked out by Hamburg in the third qualifying round. And then finally, Penny Bond also went out in the third qualifying round against Young Boys. So all of them had pretty tough opposition. So the only team left in Europe at all for Welsh football is Cardiff. This isn't good. Cardiff need to get through that group stage and get through the knockout round to start picking up some coefficients. Because at the moment, Welsh teams haven't got enough qualifying spaces and they're just not cutting it. I mean, they're bringing the players in. It's just not bringing enough quality into the league yet. I mean, this is season 4 now. They need to start doing it better. So one quick look at players before we do anything else. Well, we will quickly have a little look at Wales. So Brett Hopkins of Llandudno is the top scorer. I mean, obviously we've been following a particular player at Llandudno. Is he still there? Roger Parsonage is there. But is he realising his potential? He's slowly getting there, but he's now 20. I don't think he's going to quite hit the height we thought he was going to. So this is the top 10 scorers in the division so far. Assists, this is the top 10 assists in the division so far. And now the average rating will go through the top 20. So Connor Roberts is the best player in the division at the moment. And then going down to 20 with Cameron McGeehan. And Newport County fans remember him from real life. Andre out. Pardon me, got a bit of case of the hiccups at the moment. Still at Swansea, still, pardon me, playing well. That's obviously not what actually it could be. Yeah, it is the centre-back Gary Cahill, playing for Guilsfield. Although he's fallen in his ratings a fair bit. So Connor Roberts is top of the shops for his average rating. And he's not great, actually. That's quite surprising. So there we go. Wales, we'll take you to see Wales. So Wales in this European League, Division B, they've got promoted. So there we go, that's all good. Going up in the world, our Wales lost in a friendly match to Holland, but the European Championship. Oh, fuck, I tell you what, guys, I really am off my nut at the moment. The actual European Championship. Wales went out in the groups. Now, forgive me. What am I doing now? Yeah, that was the qualifiers. They battered everybody in the qualifiers, and they got through to the European Championship, and they did appallingly in that group, and went out at the group stage. So that was that. That's the European Championship. Oh my God. Well, we're all caught up then, guys. We're on top of everything. Now, I think the next stage then is to wrap this episode up Join us for the next episode where we will conclude this season. Will there be a new title winner? Merthyr are leading at the moment, but champions Cardiff are not far behind. Next episode we will have a look at who's doing what in the cup competitions. Bear with me, one last thing. I reminded myself, Cardiff won the Football League Challenge Cup, the opening game, like the equivalent of the Charity Shield. So Cardiff won in extra time against Barry in that one. So guys, that is that for this episode. Join us next time where we will conclude season 4, and then we'll see if it provides us with a new champion. Guys, I will see you next time. Cheerio for now.